Order. Please have a seat. Hey, Jeannie.
We're not going to pull the coastal resilience. I just spoke to Joe. Okay.
Where's coastal resilience?
That is.
Okay, Ms. Katrina, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Casabon? Mr. Phillips? Here. Ms. Tanner? Here. Mr. Burt? Here. Mr. Kugel? Here. Mr. Bender?
Here.
Mr. Loughlin? Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'm going to call out the items that need to be pulled. Under ordinances for introduction, item 2, ordinance calendar number 7843. Item under finance ordinances, item 11, ordinance calendar number 7852. Item 12, ordinance calendar number 7853. Item 13, ordinance calendar number 7854. Under resolutions, resolution 5, number C-7086. Under ordinances for adoption, item 15, ordinance calendar number 7831. And item 24, ordinance calendar number 7840. Do any council members have any other items to pull? Seeing to my left, none. Seeing to my right, none. Did I pull yours, David?
I think it should be 7831 adoption and what other?
I had 7840 for you under adoption.
7840 for me and then 7831 for that.
And I called it, yes.
And then I think you're called on this resolution.
Okay, anyone else from the council? Seeing none. From the administration? Seeing none. And from the audience? Seeing none. Okay. Okay, and I need a motion to refer the remainder of the agenda, minus the items pulled, to the full council. Motion by Mr. Phillips, seconded by Ms. Tanner. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Referred to the full council. Okay. We'll go to the first item pulled, and that will be Ms. Martha. Under ordinance for introduction, item 2, ordinance calendar number 7843, ordinance to address public comments, improve code administration, make minor changes and corrections, and clarify the St. Tammany Code of Ordinances. Ms. Martha.
Yes, we made some.
You have to turn your mic on.
We made some. We had Miss Aaron speak at the last meeting. We had some clarification. I'll let Ross. You want to explain what the 75 feet? Is this the one? No. Oh, it's the other one. All right. Well, explain this to us. Thank you. Go ahead.
All right, so again, are we talking about the 75-foot requirement?
No, we're talking about the, it says the changes and corrections.
All right, so number 2 that was pulled, and the information I had in front of me have 2 items on it. It's about commercial excavation and rural overlay and public facility zoning classifications, and for pole signs for conditional use.
How are they changed?
It was never allowed for commercial excavation, I believe, in the rural part of the northern part of the parish, somewhat in your district, Ms. Tanner's district, I know it's come up several times. People want to do commercial excavation maybe for a roadway, 3241 that's being built. However, that was not an option other than to zone to industrial. Obviously, that posed a lot of concern at the zoning commission level and at the council level that we're changing zoning from residential to industrial for an excavation, for a borrow pit, let's say. So we worked with certain partners, council members, developers, and one way to accomplish this goal is to have a conditional use permit allowable in rural overlay and public facilities zoning classifications, which creates a lot less
Without changing the zoning?
to industrial, yes.
Okay.
So that's a good update. And
Okay.
the other item is pole signs. This was sort of initiated by some constituents with commercial properties through a couple council members. And we looked at it, and what we did was, while we don't have proliferation of pole signs across the parish, in certain areas like billboards, they may be appropriate, and that would give them the opportunity as a conditional use to go to the zoning commission and find out what those conditions would be for a pole sign at their location. So those are 2, I think, good upgrades for business in St. Tammany Parish that weren't there previously.
It won't affect, would this go in with the signage? In other words, the monument signs, this would be different?
Yes.
So they'd be more visible?
Yep.
And it's on an individual basis in an
Correct.
individual area?
Yes.
Gotcha.
And those are the only 2 items for this particular agenda item.
Okay. Thank you.
Ross, I have a question. How you doing?
Good. Sir, how are you?
Good. So, Ross, some years ago, we removed conditional use. Now, as I recall, it was primarily to change mobile homes from conditional use to MHO. I'm assuming you think that would it be limited to these that you just mentioned?
So there's, for conditional use, there's several, I guess, uses out there that would be, I guess, be able to be applied for by the public or a business owner or property owner, whatever. I make an analogy sort of towards like the LA 21 or Highway 21 corridor overlay. So essentially, while you have the right of the permitted use of your property, it goes through an extra layer of review at the zoning commission or planning commission level to find out what the impact is on the residents or other businesses nearby. So during that plan review, the commission can impose certain restrictions or additional requirements not typically needed for a location unless it's in that particular location of Highway 21 corridor overlay. So this is, I guess, maybe like a similar review to make sure that what's coming in is appropriate for the area.
Okay.
Does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it answers my question to some degree, but we would be opening up the possibility for billboards, for example, the possibility.
Well, billboards are already permitted in certain classifications by right now with certain
Right.
restrictions.
But this would be opening up the areas that would be restricted, am I correct?
For pole signs.
For pole
a lot,
signs.
For a lot, I think it's 25 square foot max,
Okay.
which a billboard is like 300 square foot.
Gotcha.
So it would be definitely, and the commission can make other restrictions on it, on sizes if they needed to, maybe
Okay.
even smaller. But no, it would not be the scale of a billboard.
Okay, thank you. That's the question I had.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Who do we have? Who?
Mr. Lockland. Mr. Lockland was first.
Mr. Lockland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, so I just wanted to explain, I was one of the people who initiated this change. I have, for example, in my district, I have a gas station that has a pole sign now, but it's an old pole sign. They can't handle a monument sign, but they also can't, they need to replace the pole sign. That's the only viable option for them, and as it's written, there's no way to fix this. And this is in a particular area where this will not bother anybody, where we're just trying to create a pathway that when we have these particular situations, they can put that in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Laughlin. Ms. Casbon.
Yes, and again, in my mind, I have that conditional use that under certain conditions, are we allowed to, as, you know, council or as the zoning, planning and zoning used to do, that this would be permitted or under a conditional use, can we put layers of timelines for, you know, or in sizes and everything? Is that like we used to?
Yeah, so I mean,
we used to be able to control in our area sizes, shape, how long, working at the number of hours, you know,
Yes.
starting, ending, and
Yep.
things like that.
And so that's going to, and again,
okay.
it's like the Highway 21 corridor overlay. I think that particular aspect of going through an additional layer of review at the commission level puts a lot of concerns from the local either residents or businesses in the area when something new is coming in, to make sure it's not disruptive to what's already existing.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, the commission can deny this request for a pole sign. It can be appealable to the council. But yeah, it's supposed to create a little bit more comfort for the surrounding area if something like this
Well,
were to be permitted.
It sounds like we're giving both sides, without it being arbitrary and capricious, that we say no and not a reason when it doesn't fit.
Yeah,
So
it's a great avenue.
it's a good, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Casbon, we need a motion to refer to the full council. Okay, motion by Councilwoman Casbon to refer item 2, ordinance count number 7843, to the full council. All in favor? Yay?
Second.
Excuse me, I need a second. Mr. Patrick Burke seconds. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We have 3 items to pull under finance ordinances for adoption, and those are item 11, ordinance count number 7852, item 12, ordinance count number 7853, and item 13, ordinance count number 7854. And we need a motion, Ms. Tanner, to refer this to the Finance Committee, which will follow this meeting. Motion by Ms. Tanner, seconded by Mr. Phillips. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Referred to the full Finance Committee. The next item is item number 5 under resolutions, Resolution Council Series number C-7086. Ms. Tanner.
Since that is Mr. Laughlin, would he like to go first, or?
Mr. Laughlin.
Resolution number 5.
Number 5, Council Series C-7086. That's resolution to support legislation. You've got that one now?
Yes, thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Councilwoman Tanner. This is to support the work by Councilwoman Stephanie Baralt at the state level, who is creating the framework if we decided to create an Office of Inspector General here in St. Tammany Parish. This would, the belief is that we would, and my colleague Mr. Kugel can explain more, because he has a correction and a proposed amendment to this resolution, that there's a ethics board that has to be created, and then the ethics board, once created, if they decide to recommend an inspector general, they can. But this isn't us creating anything on the parish level yet. This is just us encouraging Representative Baralt to create the framework if we choose to go ahead with it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Laughlin. Ms. Tanner.
Okay. I want to add, to amend this, and if it passes the legislature, fine. But I'd like to put an amendment on this so that when it comes up, it is a vote of the people of St. Tammany Parish, and there is a millage or something to fund the office that will be attached to that millage. I think the people should vote on it. I can understand where an inspector general sounds great, except Orleans Parish budget is 4.2. Jefferson Parish is 1.5. Their budgets overall is much more than our little 160 million. I don't know how we would support this, and I think if we're going to support it, I think the people need to vote on it and also decide how they're going to fund it. So I would like that amendment on this.
Okay. I'll take a motion on that when I'll finish with Mr. Phillips and then Mr. Cool. Mr. Phillips.
A couple things. Well, first I was going to say the legislature hasn't done anything yet with it, so it might be premature. But after what she just mentioned, if we vote positive for what Cheryl said, does that pull it from the HR charter, working with it then, or is that, because we're sort of saying we're going to send it to the people to get voted on already? Does it affect that in any way?
So what the state legislature needs to do first is establish the right for the parish to even establish an office of inspector general or an ethics board. And then after that happens, then our charter would need to be amended to create such an office or entity. And Ms. Tanner is saying that if this goes to the voters as a charter amendment, she would like to include with that a funding mechanism. So I think that she's suggesting that we add language to the resolution that's supporting the state legislation, that this is something the parish would like to do moving forward. But as we sit here today, there's still very many steps that would need to occur before this can happen in St. Tammany Parish. And this resolution is just to support the legislation by Representative Baralt.
Thank you, Ms. Couvion. Mr. Kugel.
Cheryl, first of all, I'm absolutely sympathetic to the financial concerns here. What I specifically, when I talked to Councilman Laughlin about this, I went and read the actual state law being changed, and Representative Baralt just is adding 2 words to the existing RS, and as always, Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, RS 339611A1, which now just lists New Orleans, East Baton Rouge, and Jefferson. St. Tammany will be in there. And my specific amendment to the resolution is just to clarify for the public, this does not simply allow us to move forward with an OIG. This specifically allows us to create what's called local ethics entities. And in 9612, the statute immediately following this, it would then allow us to do local ethics entities, including but not limited to an ethics review board or office of inspector general, or both. So it actually is going to empower, through the HRC and ultimately the council, a lot of ethics possibilities going forward. One other thing I did want to address, and I did let Representative Baralt know, and I know Emily and I just spoke about this, that this is something the Home Rule Charter Committee may want to address now, or at least talk to Representative Baralt about. If you go to RS 339613, I think it's under investigative powers, under it's A4A, if you want the OIG to have subpoena power, and again, Emily, please correct me if I'm wrong, if you want the OIG to have subpoena power separate from a court order, that needs to be, St. Tammany needs to be added there as well. Is that correct? So that Representative Baralt would have to add that also to her bill. And that is a discussion you need to have. Do you want to have the OIG to have a check and balance where they have to go to a judge for a subpoena, or do you want them to be able to just issue them? And that's a debate that needs to be had. But ultimately, Representative Baralt is going to have to amend her bill. If you do want to give the OIG as much power as Orleans and Jefferson, Representative Baralt is going to have to amend her bill accordingly. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Emily. Okay. And as such, the purpose of my resolution amendment is just to clarify this and allows us to have local ethics entities as a possibility of ethics reform. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Laughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to say that I believe that there's many elements of kind of the chicken and the egg situation in this. I think a lot of steps would have to be created before we even got to that step. This is just merely to support the work of Representative Baralt at this time. Just for an aside, New Orleans, for example, Orleans Parish had created their structure in the mid-90s but did not actually activate their inspector general until 2005, in anticipation of all the federal monies that would be coming in after Hurricane Katrina. So this is just us creating the framework and supporting our colleague in the state legislature and her work and her efforts.
Okay, thank you, sir. So Ms. Cheryl will need a motion to, wait, I'm sorry. Who am I looking at now? Ms. Tanner, I'm skipping you.
You can't do the amendment today. I just want to make sure everyone understands that. It has happened at the meeting.
Yeah, I was going to say, your amendment will have to happen at the meeting.
Okay, a couple things. Mr. Laughlin, where I understand where you're coming from, and also Mr. Kugel. You know, again, Orleans Parish has a $1.6 billion budget. Jefferson has a $1 billion budget. We have $160 million. I mean, there's no comparison. Oh, I'm sorry, 160.
No, you're right.
160 million.
You know, that's a big difference. And you say this is just so we can create it, and it's also creating an ethics board. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot agree on the board for the library. We cannot agree on the charter committee. What makes you think we're going to agree on a board of ethics? I just don't see it happening. I think it's going to be a lot of controversy. I think we should amend the charter to give the council the right to subpoena and do investigations. And we should pursue what the DA Sims has suggested with the forensic accounting. I think that would be the cheapest way and the most efficient way to cut out all the politics and establish another board. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to jump ahead real quick here. Just to remind everyone on the council and in the audience, the council already has subpoena power, okay? It's the council's responsibility under the Home Rule Charter to investigate any possible wrongdoing, anything that the council would as a whole see as in need of some type of investigation. We already can have subpoena power to subpoena any parish employee. And I would assume, asking Ms. Emily, maybe even someone outside of the parish government. I'm not sure about that. But we do have full subpoena power within parish government. Anything you'd like to add, Ms. Emily? No. Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, let me look at who's first in the... Mr. Kugel.
Just to clarify again, Cheryl, I looked at that the thing about how much it's cost. I completely agree with you. What I'm not going to support is an unfunded mandate. Absolutely, I'm with you. The change in the law does not mandate any of that. It only changes the law to where it gives us the ability to create. It does not mandate we create. It does not mandate a funding source or anything. If we end up creating one later, then absolutely we should address the funding source if we're going to do it at all. Representative Brault adds 2 words to this that gives us the power to create local ethics. And if I could ask Emily, I'm reading, we could do it at a later, could the Home Rule Charter recommend a change that says you can by ordinance create a local ethics entity once this statute is amended? Okay, so, and that means, and again, always I want to say, Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, if the Home Rule Charter is amended, the council could then, if we get a majority, say, we want to create a local ethics entity and this is how we're going to fund it, if we're going to do it at all. All this does is give us the ability to do that. It does not mandate we do anything. And I'm absolutely with you. I'm not going to support any unfunded mandate. Absolutely, and I was, when I saw those numbers, I thought the same exact thing, that we can't have an unfunded mandate. Jefferson specifically is, I think their $1.5 million OIG is from a millage. I cannot imagine the people of this parish are going to want another millage. But this change only gives us the ability to create a local ethics entity, and that's it. And again, Emily, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Ms. Cooley,
That's all.
I see you have your light on.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was just in anticipation of having to respond, but Mr. Impastato does at the staff table too.
Oh, that's fine. I'm going to go to Ms. Burkell. Okay, I've got staff 2 on.
That's me.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
I wasn't on the committee, so I didn't think I should sit there.
Absolutely.
When I was initially told about this, I was under the impression that it would apply to the entire parish. So now it can only be restricted to just our parish government. It can't cover rec districts and fire districts and everything parish-wide.
Ms. Coovey on?
So that's something that we're still researching. It's not everything parish-wide. We cannot, by Constitution, investigate things that are happening with the school board or with the sheriff beyond the extent that we fund the jail. It's limited to parish government, entities created by parish government, and entities funded by parish government to the extent of that funding. So it's not everything operating in the parish. It's everything within parish government or created by parish government. To the extent that we get into fire districts or rec districts, that's still an open question, and it has not been adjudicated by the courts. But it's clear that we cannot go and look at law enforcement, sheriff, school board, assessor, those kinds of entities where the parish has no jurisdiction.
Could they voluntarily agree to allow that to happen? Is there a path to get there? Or is it just no chance it's not going to happen?
I think that's a question for another day.
Okay.
Okay, we have Mr. Laughlin, then Mr. Burke, Ms. Tanner, and then Ms. Casbon. Mr. Laughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to offer to my colleague, Mrs. Tanner, maybe we can combine your amendment and Mr. Kugel's amendment and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Because I think we're all working to the same thing, and then this is merely just an effort to support that. But I do agree with you and your added requirement. So perhaps we can just combine Mr. Kugel's amendment and your amendment and then amend it together and have something ready to present to the full council next week.
Thank you, Mr. Laughlin. Mr. Burke.
I just got a question in regards to this resolution, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is just to create the framework to establish this. This is not, once this is done in the legislature, it's still got to be talked about at the Home Rule Charter Committee. And of course, I think that's where all these amendments that we're talking about would be appropriate. Right now, all we're doing is just authorizing Ms. Peralta to put us on that particular law. Is that correct?
Not authorizing, we're supporting.
We're supporting that law. We're supporting that for her to add us on to that. So, I mean, to me, that's just kind of cut and dry. I think all these other amendments and things are to be discussed maybe at the Home Rule Charter Committee when they decide, do we want to do this or do we not want to do this? And if we do, then we go and it's presented to the council and it's voted on and amended at that time. I don't know that an amendment's necessary now.
Ms. Tanner.
I think my only concern is, I've been in these positions before, and you say, we're just supporting the legislature. It's years away from happening. Next year, we have people standing up in front of us, raising hell because they want it enacted. They want it now. So I'm kind of not certain that I want to go there. If we don't need it, then why are we doing it? I mean, we can't afford it. I really don't believe the citizens of this parish is going to vote a millage for us to have an inspector general. They're going to vote?
No, I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, excuse me. Ms. Tanner has the floor.
Oh. Then why are we doing this? I'm just asking, why are we supporting this when we know the chances of this going is zilch and none? Just my thought.
Okay, Ms. Casbon.
I'm confused, which is usual. This is the second month we've had things or issues that have been brought before us that I think that, again, we're jumping the gun on some of this, that the Home Rule Charter, that's why we appointed the people to the Home Rule Charter, that we present them, these are the ideas that we want to do. How do y'all feel about this on the Home Rule Charter? And the decisions that were made there would be brought to us to decide on. And I think this is one of those issues. Let's let it go through the system that we have established with good faith. that they're intelligent enough that we could add that to our charter, so we would be in that position, we wouldn't have to go back and do something like that. So I think, again, this needs to be put on hold until our committee is finished with their recommendations.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Burkell.
I just wanted to say this is a little different than what was before y'all last month, because this isn't to ask the Home Rule Charter to look into it. It's to support legislation that Representative Baralt is doing. So while it still will have to go through the Home Rule Charter, because she's doing legislation, that is why this amendment is before you.
But are they aware of that legislation?
Yes.
Okay. So they're aware that and then if they're in agreement with supporting her amendment, then they present that to us. And then, you know,
right, but
when
for
they're
Stephanie to go before the legislator when it's a local bill, usually it goes before the council to either support it or not. So this is kind of the normal.
But I would be uncomfortable supporting something that I don't know, you know,
Right.
where it would go and fund it, you know, so it's just, I don't know.
I just wanted to clarify,
Again, I'm
this is not
confused.
something that you're sending, this resolution is not sending this to the Home Rule Charter Committee. This is something
Right.
that's being done at the state level.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Laughlin.
I think we're not seeing the forest for the trees on this issue. This is not creating an OIG. This is not creating an ethics board. If Representative Baralt is successful in making this change on our behalf, if and when we ever decide to pursue this, we're able to have a parish-wide OIG, or at least an OIG with all the bells and whistles.
Wait.
Right. So
Excuse me, Mr.
right
Laughlin.
now, the way it's written is if we came up with an OIG without this legislation, it would be it would have no extra power than we already have as the council to investigate. Okay? What we're asking, what Representative Baralt is doing is adding our parish to the list of names, which is Orleans, Jefferson, and East Baton Rouge. That we would add us to that so that we could have not an equal, because each parish is different, as we've explained, because we've gotten into the weeds here a little bit. This would just allow us to, if we wanted to, we would have the option to create an ethics board and that could create an OIG. If we wanted to, that would have more power. It does not mandate any of this. It's just saying it's giving you the option to have the more powerful version than what we have right now. Because you're right, if we created an OIG under the current legislation and the current parameters, it would be redundant. It would be no better than our investigatory powers that we have as a council anyway.
Okay, let me make a quick comment. I'll go to Mr. Kugel. And I understood what Mr. Laughlin said, but Ms. Couvion has already stated that we would not be able to investigate the fire district, a rec district, whatever. Am I correct with that, Ms. Couvion?
We're researching that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Researching, my misunderstanding. Thank you. Mr. Kugel.
Back to, and Cheryl, I do appreciate your concerns. I, like everyone else, reads news online, and I have been following some of the OIG stuff in Jefferson, and that's not what I'm looking for here. There's a lot of controversy. I don't really think that's what we're looking for here. This is why, again, I wanted to offer my amendment, because Ms. Baralt's bill, I wanted to clarify that it allows us to do local ethics entities, not necessarily an OIG. We may decide, we don't know how, that maybe an ethics review board would work more for us, and that's it, without an OIG. I think Mr. Laughlin does want an OIG. I'm not sure that's what I want. I might be more supportive of an ethics review board that is public, meets publicly, issues subpoenas publicly, those types of things. That might be something I'm more in favor of. This particular change in law is still required if we want to have the ability to do that. This does not mandate, and this is again why I wanted to do this amendment, because I said currently as written, the resolution just focuses on the OIG. we are able to do a lot more than just that once this law is enacted in the HRC Acts. Like I said, we may just end up deciding, we just want to do an ethics review board, public meetings, the public get to watch, and that's all. That may be, but we still need this bill to pass in order to have that ability. And again, please correct me if I'm wrong, Emily.
Ms. Casbon.
Again, okay, if we pass this, would we have the ability to establish it if it's not part of our code? I mean, part of the...
So the difference between doing this under the authority granted by Title 33 of the revised statutes is it actually creates a law enforcement agency. This, whether it's an ethics board or an office of inspector general, is a law enforcement agency of the parish that has the same powers that a law enforcement agency would have to subpoena, to look at computer records, to call witnesses. It's a vast expansion of the powers that the council currently has under the Home Rule Charter, or that we could grant ourselves by doing a charter amendment alone.
Her resolution or Google's resolution?
That the change in the state law would give the parish the authority to establish that office that would basically be like a law enforcement agency under the umbrella of the parish. Not that we would have to do it, but that we would have that authority to do it, which would require a charter change with a vote of the people, and then a whole process to be established by ordinance.
But again, the charter change?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Tanner.
I will go with David's amendment and my amendment to the full council. I'm sure this will be talked about next week.
Okay, motion by Ms. Tanner, as stated. All in favor? Aye.
Second.
I need a second. Mr. Kugel? Mr. Kugel seconds. Thank you, Ms. Katrina. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none. I want to make one last comment. This amendment does not sound to me, this resolution does not sound to me like it's ready to go before the whole council. Now, I voted to put it before the whole council, but it'll be up to the whole council to determine whether or not they want to postpone this or not, because everything I've heard is a conundrum. You know, it's a mismatch. And I say again, you know, another name for the parish council is the governing authority. And we have within the Home Rule Charter, and it was a commission of people that put this together, we can investigate within parish government. We can investigate every single person. We can investigate council members. We can investigate every single person right within parish government. If this is simply going to allow us to investigate everybody within parish government, but nobody outside of parish government, parish-wide, I don't know what we gain by it, but that's just my comment, and we'll have food for thought at the council meeting. Okay, moving on. I'm sorry. Mr. Cool, did you want to continue to speak?
Just one more thing, and I appreciate what he said. I know we often talk about as a council, and I really appreciate what Emily said a minute ago. This would be an expanse of the power of the council and the ability. And is that, I don't want to misrepresent.
I don't know about that.
The power of the council, an expanse of the power of this agency that's going to be overseeing all of parish government and all of the entities created by parish government.
And we would have the ability as the council to create it, or I don't want to say destroy it, but or we could create it by ordinance.
Yes.
Or we could remove it by ordinance as well.
I need to do more research on that question.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, moving on the ordinances for adoption. Ordinance calendar number 7831, ordinance authorizing the parish of St. Tammany through the office of the parish president to acquire a certain parcel for the French Branch Pond expansion project. Mr. Burke.
Yes, Daniel, can you come up and let everybody know what this is about and how it will benefit the constituents?
Daniel Hill, Director of Engineering. This is it's next to the pond of many names. What we've called it, the Tenant Pond, the Oshner Pond, Service Road Pond,
The pond.
The pond.
So this is for the purchase of a 40-acre tract that's immediately north of the existing pond facility. To do an expansion of it, we did hydraulic modeling of this at Gauze Boulevard downstream. It showed up to a 6-inch water drop for a 100-year storm event, which is pretty substantial. On the north end, going into what is that subdivision in your district, Councilman Burke?
Which one?
Right over the other side of the interstate.
That's
Tanglewood.
Tanglewood, yeah.
Tanglewood. Yeah, I knew it would come to me.
Tanglewood and Kensington.
Tanglewood. So it has improvements upstream as well, going into the Slidell area. So it's a great project, and we look forward to seeing it move forward.
How will it will also benefit Crossgates as well?
Crossgates. So you're looking at Crossgates phase 5. That is what St. Luke's area.
Yeah.
That whole phase of that subdivision directly outfalls into the W15 canal right there at Gauze.
Right.
So that's where you see the 6-inch water drop at the 100-year storm event. So it has a potential to see substantial improvement for that area as well.
All right, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Kugel.
Yes, and I wanted to ask about that. I appreciate your work on this, and I appreciate Councilman Burke's. So that is, I understand we had a drainage study, and one of the, I think the decision, I don't want to misrepresent, one of the biggest sources of relief for Crossgates Boulevard entering from Gauze, where it's sometimes impassable, depending on the rain event, would be this pond would ultimately provide the most source of relief.
Yeah, since that phase of Crossgates directly outfalls into the W15 canal, what does it say? If the W15 canal and a heavy rain happens, that phase tends to drain out. That's why you don't see it happen in every rain event. But if the W15's up, it actually backs up into the street.
So like the dentist office there, always underwater, and in the entrance near St. Luke's, that would all get relief from this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Mr. Liner would like to follow up. Mr. Liner.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I think when Councilwoman Casbon removed or asked for number 2 on the agenda to be discussed, that's what I brought up with me. However, item number 1 is the one that was postponed where you had mentioned the frontage. That particular item on that agenda was removed, so it's not part of the package for UDC amendments. That's going to have further discussion. It is not a misprint, no. However, it was removed for additional discussion. So if possible, I'd like to ask the council to go ahead and maybe introduce this month the UDC amendments that were postponed, because that item was removed and it's not part of the package. So item number 1 on the agenda has 6 clarifications or recommendations to change the code. I don't believe we have any consternation with any of those items, except for the one that was removed and not part of the package anymore, which is the item that you are talking about. So I just want to clear that up if possible, unless it made it worse. I asked Emily to correct me if I'm wrong.
So, Mr. Liner, you'll communicate with Ms. Burkell.
It should all be.
Yeah, it's all good.
It should all be.
It's all
it's
good.
Yeah.
I thought you were adding something.
No, something was removed. No, we removed something.
I don't know if this is your fault or my fault.
Look, all I know is me and you are here, so let's just say it's both of our faults.
Perfect. All right. Our last item is ordinance for, excuse me. Do we have a motion and a second on this? Motion by Mr. Burke, seconded by Mr. Phillips. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's to refer to the full council. Item 24 under ordinances for adoption. Ordinance count number 7840, ordinance to amend the 2025 capital improvement budget and capital assets amendment number 9, sales tax district 3 capital projects. Mr. Kugel.
Daniel, thanks again. So this is a project for specifically around Oak Leaf Drive, which is going to give some relief to Crossgates, but also the bluffs, I understand. So is it just, this is to try to address the overflow of water that makes the road somewhat impassable in that area? Is that?
Yeah, I guess the best way to say it is it helps sustain the water level
coming across right there. There's 3 existing 36-inch culverts that cross under that section of Herwig Bluff. We're talking about adding an additional one at that location. It does provide some additional flow capacity to it and lowers the water surface elevation upstream. It's a very minimal lowering of water surface, but if you're looking at like the French Branch Pond expansion, for example, is a multi-million-dollar project to get a 6-inch water drop for a 100-year storm event. For this $45,000 request, it's about an inch of water drop.
So it could reduce an inch of water on the road?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Kugler, do you want to make a motion? To refer to the full council? To refer to the full council? Okay. Seconded by Mr. Laughlin. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion to adjourn. Finance Committee is next.